Franklin.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Environment. Minister, in a version of Groundhog Day, during estimates you announced your government would be separating the EPA from Dipipwi into a standalone independent state authority. To clarify, you said the actual and perceived independence of the EPA. You also said legislative amendments to MCA will be required to clearly delineate the roles of the EPA and Dipipwi, with the new arrangements commencing on the 1st of December. Yesterday, in question time, you said the even more independent EPA is being separated from Dipipwi under our policy direction as of the 1st of December. Minister, have you shelved your commitment to a legislated separation of government policy and ministerial influence on the work of the EPA? Coastal communities are aghast at the secret plan for salmon expansion and deeply concerned about JBS moving in to capitalise on our weakly regulated industries.
Order.
Surely you understand the damage to consumer confidence in Tasmanian farm salmon won't be fixed by greenwashing. Will you legislate, Minister?
We do need a question.
I'm trying to speak over the interjections, Mr Speaker.
There is certainly a lot of lenience given to the question when it's put, and I've been doing that, and as indicated in the past, of course, that's why the ministers get some leniency when answering it, but they do need a question before I can ask them.
If I could finish without interruption, if I could finish without interruption, then I'd be able to get to my question.
Order.
I'd hope you'd keep the House in order for me to be able to answer my question.
Order.
You couldn't seriously be asking for silence.
Order.
Seriously.
It's the laughter.
Member for Franklin.
Thank you. Minister, surely you understand the damage to consumer confidence in Tasmanian farm salmon won't be fixed by greenwashing. Will you legislate to remove all directions by government over the EPA's activities, and if so, when?
Honourable Minister for the Environment.
Guffaws of hilarity from the government benches.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I thank the member for Franklin for her question. Her many questions. Mr Speaker, the Tasmanian Government has announced the structural and organisational separation of the Environment Protection Agency or Authority from the Department of Primary Industries, Parks, Water and the Environment into a standalone independent state authority from 1 December this year. This is important reform that will result in the policy and government-led functions remaining with Dipipwi, while the EPA retains the statutory assessment and regulation functions, clearly delineating the different roles. Importantly, as part of the reforms and in working to meet recommendation 2 of the PESRAC final report, we'll be providing additional resources to the EPA as well. Mr Speaker, legislative amendments to the Environmental Management and Pollution Control Act 1994 will support the change, and just like any other bill, these amendments will be subject to public consultation before being tabled in Parliament.
When will that be?
The proposed new model will ensure public confidence in environmental regulation in Tasmania and promote certainty for proponents. We're proud of the work being undertaken by the independent EPA, and the Tasmanian Government looks forward to undertaking this further significant reform.
When are you legislating?
In relation to the statement of expectations matter raised in the series of questions raised by the member for Franklin, it is the Government's intention to retain a statement of expectation. It will obviously require updating to reflect the announced changes. A statement of expectation, Mr Speaker, does not increase or decrease the independence of the EPA.
Order.
The current statement, to be clear, already states that the EPA is established as an independent statutory body responsible for performing its functions and exercising its statutory powers at arm's length from government. However, the EPA remains an instrumentality of the Crown and must work within the established administrative framework of the state of Tasmania. Mr Speaker, the statement is a high-level document and provides an important opportunity to outline the government's broad expectations
Exactly.
there is a ministerial statement of expectation or similar for a number of other organisations, including
they don't
the
say what the
Tasmanian
EPA's
Planning
one
Commission,
says.
the Heritage Council, Tas Networks, Hydro Tasmania, the Tasmanian Museum and Art Gallery, and legislative amendments to the Environmental Management and Pollution Control Act 1994 will support the proposed change and clearly delineate the roles of the EPA and the
When is
department
that happening,
and
Minister?
clarify the actual and perceived independence of the EPA. As I said before, Mr Speaker, these amendments will be subject to public consultation before being tabled in Parliament.
And when
Thank
will
you.
that be?